Increased training and required certifications for volunteer firefighters? Hi there, this is Billy Goldfeder answering some questions from you as part of our What's Your Problem series hosted by firerescue1.com and Lexipol. And here's today's question. Hey Billy, nice piece on the challenges of getting adequate trained and safe staffing by volunteer fire departments serving rural areas. One of the challenges, the increased training and certifications required to become an operational firefighter. What is your take on this? That's a great question. Thanks for your compliment. Took a few hits, but more kudos in that piece that we wrote. And basically, if you recall, it wasn't in this form. It was an article I did in my series Fired Up in firerescue1.com, where we got pretty serious about the challenges of volunteer fire departments and the responsibility dispatchers have when dealing with volunteer departments. Anyway, you can check that out. So, how much training do we need? On one hand, I can sit and argue with you all day and tell you that it never ends. On the other hand, I understand in a volunteer fire department, you only have so much time. So I think the answer there is you identify what the risks are that your department responds to and train on that. If you have no wildland possibility in your district, then don't go to wildland training. If the highest building in your district is 2 stories, do not go to high-rise training. And again, could you go mutual aid somewhere? I guess you could. You could go mutual aid on a wildland fire. You could go mutual aid on a high-rise fire. But it has to be a balance. And again, I'm a big proponent of volunteer fire service, but I'm also a big proponent that the volunteer fire service has to evolve in order to meet the needs of the people who call 911. That's the only reason we're here, right? So in your particular case, another example, your volunteer fire department requires everybody EMT, but you don't respond to EMS calls. Why does everybody have to be an EMT? Well, what if one of our members has a heart attack? Get an AED and do CPR and call for an ambulance. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, right? Have an ambulance on every first alarm assignment so you have EMS protection. But do an assessment of what your department could respond to, and then apply the training. Another interesting comment years ago, Shane Ray, who now is the president of the National Fire Sprinkler Association, is a longtime fire chief, and he was the fire marshal in South Carolina for many years. And Shane came up with a theory that maybe in an area where there's no tax base, or it's very low tax base, and they cannot afford a career fire department, if they're going to have a volunteer fire department, that maybe the community understands that your volunteer fire department is an exterior-only fire department. Now, some of you listening to this just had a stroke. Calm down, relax, okay? When there's a choice of no volunteer department, or a department that responds and basically protects exposures and put the main fire out, you're better off one that's at least going to try, right? Now, we could debate this and discuss it all weekend. We're not going to do that. I'm just saying, think about your department's responsibilities. Now, if you're in a fire department that the members are just too busy, but yet the call volume is there and the tax base is there, then you need to think about maybe you're going to have to hire some people, all right? And it's not the end of the world if you have to hire people. It's what's best for the people having the emergency. But if you're, as the way you're talking here, you're in a rural volunteer department, and you're talking about the challenges of increased training and certifications, identify what's needed and focus on the needed. Okay, it may be by law, it may be by your own local policy, and then anything else is nice to have. But to me, the basics are fire attack, right? Size up, operations of apparatus, and then if you're an interior fire department, it takes on a whole nother level. And you've got to have building construction, you've got to have fire behavior, and all the things that you and I both know is part of that. Now, what are the challenges of getting your volunteers that training? Can some of it be done online? Of course, but you've got to have hands-on as well. You can't train a firefighter online. You've got to have lots of hands-on opportunity as well as part of that initial and ongoing training. But what about you're in a rural fire department, you have to travel an hour to get to training? That's not fair. Whoever created the law that requires you to get this training should create a program where they'll come to your firehouse and they'll provide that training. So generally, to answer your question, assess what you must be trained in, either by law or by what you protect, and then start deciding these are required, these are nice to have, these are not needed classes, and move forward. Again, it may reduce the level of service you're providing, and the public has to be engaged in that. Let's say you decide that we're going to reduce our level of training. Let the public know. Maybe people will join so they can help participate in keeping those numbers up. But the bottom line is, at some point, if you're a volunteer department, do we change our training or do we simply change our department to meet the needs of the public? It's not an easy question, but the answer is clear. We have to always take care of the public. That's what we joined for. Hey, I hope that helps. Email Fire Rescue 1 your questions. I'll be glad to help you or find the solutions to whatever you may be facing. Thank you.